This is News with the Disney Dude. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel for more content, and please hit that thumbs up if you like the video. Here now is the news for Monday, February 9th of 2026. I didn't know what day it was. Crane arrives for vertical Monsters, Inc. door coaster construction at Disney's Hollywood Studios. We still don't have an opening timeline for this. If I had to guess, I don't know. If I had to guess, it would be next year, but I don't know. Either that or 2028, but I mean, construction is rapidly accelerating, so next year, maybe, I don't know, 2027, I don't know, but, we only know that they're putting in the door coaster in there. We still don't know what's replacing Muppet Vision 3D, so no surprise there, but maybe the door coaster will open next year. Fingers crossed. I know nothing. I don't know. We're just gonna have to wait and see. But they are rapidly. They're moving pretty quick on this. A new Marie Corksicle is available at Walt Disney World. Marie is one of the kittens from the Aristocats, one of my favorite Disney movies. It is $40, and it is now available at Disney Springs. I would assume at all locations that they sell Corksicles. So if you are a fan of the Aristocats and of Marie in particular, make sure you go and pick up your Corksicle at any of the I would assume that any of the locations that sell Corksicles at Disney Springs. Disney, this is a weird one. Disney removes allergy selection from advanced dining reservations. I don't really know why they would do that. That seems kind of odd to me. This is a story I'm going to have to follow. This is a story I'm going to have to follow more about. I don't know. I don't know why Disney would remove their allergy selections from advanced dining reservations. I don't know. This is one of those stories that I am going to have to follow very carefully. mean, I don't think that, I don't think that was really necessary for them to issue a trespass warning. I mean, you know, the man, you know, is disabled. You know, he ran away from home, you know, and he made it, you know, then he got back home, and I think it's my understanding now he ran away again. But I don't know. I don't really see the need for Disney to issue a trespass warning. You know, obviously the man, you know, is you know, he's you know, he's disabled. So I don't, I mean, I don't know. I mean, speaking as a disabled person myself, I mean, I don't have autism, so I can't speak on that. But he didn't hurt anybody. He didn't, you know, there was no malice in this situation. So issuing a trespass warning, I think that was a little much. That was unnecessary. I was like, well, you know, I don't agree with that. But I mean, let me know in the comments how you feel. But I think that was kind of unnecessary for them to issue a trespass warning. But, you know, I am glad that Disney, you know, kind of felt sorry for this man and took care of him for a few days and got him on his way. But, you know, it's, you know, but again, I don't see a reason for you to issue a trespass warning when he didn't hurt anybody or, you know, anything else. He didn't, as far as I know, he didn't try to hurt himself. But, you know, but I don't know. But, you know, let me know in the comments how you feel. But I think that's unnecessary. That's unnecessary for them to do. Now here's a wild story. A mother and daughter got into an argument at the Magic Kingdom over missing their missing credit card. They got into a fight, and then that's not even the weird part. And then they poured drinks over themselves. That is hilarious. That is great. Now, I am not happy that, you know, another fight happened at Walt Disney World. But on the other hand, they didn't hurt anybody. You know, they really just hurt themselves, really. You know, I would have loved to have seen that fight where they just poured drinks on each other. I mean, come on. That's crazy. That's just wild. So, you know, I understand, you know, things happen. You know, the credit card went missing. They got into a heated argument. You know, I don't condone violence at, you know, anywhere in public, especially at Walt Disney World. But if you're going to have an argument, this, you know, have something like this, where you're not hurting anybody and you're just pouring drinks over each other. Okay, you know, but I mean, that's just crazy. That is just wild. So, you know, I don't know if they've got, you know, if they got banned or if they got, you know, arrested or anything. I don't know. This is another one of those stories that I'm going to have to watch. But man, that is just crazy. That is wild. Enchanted Tiki Room roof at Walt Disney World is being repainted. Again, this is great. You know, these, you know, I've said it before. I'll say it 50,000 more times. You know, the buildings at Walt Disney World, the outside of the buildings, they suffer a lot of weather. Okay, not just the sun, but the rain, and of course hurricanes, and all kinds of other weather. So it's nice that they keep these buildings up to date, up to code. So that's wonderful. That's great. Crews begin work on Restaurantosaurus and Dinosaur remains in Dinoland at Disney's Animal Kingdom. If you are interested in the last day of Dinoland USA, you can watch that. Watch me. I did walk around Dinoland USA on the last day. You can watch that on my Blogging with the Disney Dude YouTube channel. So if you haven't already, go ahead, go over and give that a watch. I got a little emotional. I can't wait for the Encanto ride and the Indiana Jones ride, retheme of Dinosaur. I can't wait for that, but Dinosaur has been there, Dinoland USA have been there ever since I have been alive. Okay, I was 10. What was it, April? I wasn't even 10. I was born in May. So I was born May 2nd, 1988. The park opened on April 22nd of 1998. Okay, so I wasn't even 10 years old when this park opened. But, obviously, we went a lot. So I have fond memories of Dinosaur and Dinoland USA. I mean, I know it wasn't everyone's favorite attraction and such. I know, I understand, I get it, but walking around there for the last time really kind of made me emotional. Really made me emotional. So, and it was the same thing when I walked around, Grand Avenue and visited Muppet Vision 3D the last time. I'm sure the same's going to be with, Rock and Roller Coaster, which that's coming up in just a few short weeks. Closing these things is emotional. Whether you love it or not, it's still emotional. It's still, oh, this thing has been here for a long time. I'm gonna miss it, and look, I have been criticized a lot for the closing of, I have publicly come out and, I have been criticized a lot for, the closing of Muppet Vision 3D and how, people saying how stupid I was, and everything. And I have come out, and it was the same thing with the closing of the Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island at the Magic Kingdom. And that was kind of on the other spectrum where I was like, I really didn't have a whole lot of emotional connection to the riverboat and Tom Sawyer Island. I just didn't. I want to make that clear that I'm going to miss it. I will miss it, okay? But it wasn't my favorite thing. Muppet Vision 3D obviously was, one of my favorite things. It was there, ever since, it wasn't opening day, but it was 1991. So obviously I was alive then. But, people, have criticized me. They've called me names, which I really couldn't care less about. I really don't care. Call me whatever you want, but, I'm gonna miss Dinosaur, and, I'm obviously gonna miss Muppet Vision 3D, unless they put it back. And I'm gonna miss, the riverboat, and Rivers of America. I can't really speak on Tom Sawyer Island because that was something I had never really experienced. But I'm gonna miss the riverboat and Rivers of America. I really am. Okay, I miss that whole aesthetic. Okay, but I understand. Retheming the Rivers of America. I understand. It wasn't. It wasn't speaking to people. Dinosaur, I kind of understand. I get it. A lot of people, that wasn't their thing. Now, Muppet Vision 3D, that's a whole different argument, a totally different thing. So, but that's a whole nother argument I've had 50,000 times. I'm not going into it again. But to get back to this, I did get a little emotional. I did get a little emotional saying goodbye to Dinoland USA. I really, really did. Grand Floridian construction has been extended through early 2027 at Walt Disney World. This probably means we're not going to have the gingerbread houses again at the Grand Floridian, which really makes me sad. But I mean, what else are you gonna do? But but this whole lobby, they are really like putting it's like all in, all in on the Grand Floridian. So, but it's probably a safe bet that there's going to be no gingerbread houses again this year. Frozen Ever After refurb in Epcot includes more than just new audio animatronics. They are redoing a lot of stuff in that ride. They are redoing the lighting. They're redoing a lot of stuff in that building is getting refurbished. It's not just building the new audio animatronics. It's the light. They're redoing the lighting. They're redoing. I would assume that they're redoing the boats. They're really going all in on this refurbishment. It's supposed to open tomorrow, so I'm going to be at Epcot tomorrow to ride Frozen Ever After. Look for that ride POV on my new YouTube channel at Disney Ride. So that will be on that channel. I am really looking forward, though. I'm looking forward to this update to Frozen Ever After. I'm excited. I am really, really excited. Crews prepare new foundation in Piston Peak National Park at the Magic Kingdom. Again, this is another one of those projects that's that's progressing rapidly. Probably not as rapidly as the Monsters Inc. door coaster. The Monsters Inc. land is much, much smaller than obviously the Cars themed area is at the Magic Kingdom. There's obviously a ton of space that they have to work with at the Magic Kingdom. There's a ton of space in that area. So obviously that's going to take a long time to do. The Monsters Inc. area probably isn't going to take them. It's going to take them a hot minute, but probably not as long as building Piston Peak or building Villains Land as well at the Magic Kingdom. At this next D23, we expect to hear more announcements on the progress of those. So we'll wait and hear about what's happening there. But I mean, I think that we'll have Monsters Inc. opening before the Cars themed area opens, and well before the Villains Land area opens at the Magic Kingdom. We already know about Encanto and the Indiana Jones attractions. We know that they're opening next year. Okay, we know that that's happening in 2027. We don't know yet about Monsters Inc. I would probably say, again, we're going to have to wait till this next D23, but if it's not next year, it'll be 2028. More than likely it will be, but, we'll just have to stay tuned. Joe Rohde, obviously one of the main Imagineers who really kind of worked on Animal Kingdom and is responsible for Animal Kingdom. He tried to get the Tropical Americas built at Disney's Animal Kingdom for 15 years, which is really crazy. Which is really, really wild to me. It took Disney 15 years. It took them 15 years to decide, yes, we will build that. And, and not every idea goes to waste, It's the same thing with the Monsters Inc. door coaster. As soon as that movie hit, as soon as Monsters Inc. hit, what was that, in 2001, I think? I believe that, I think that's right, 2001. As soon as that movie hit, and as soon as people saw that sequence of the door vault, people were immediately like, we have got to build a door coaster in our park. In one of our parks, we have to, and unfortunately, that kind of got put on hold, and now they're doing it, and now they're finally doing it. So, not every idea is going to be, they think of it and then they immediately build it. Sometimes it takes a long time. Sometimes it takes them a very long time to, do these, to get these ideas. To think of them on paper, and then committing to construction, and then building them. Monsters Inc. was, 2001? So what's that? Over 20 years now? 11, 21, yeah. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 15 years ago? 20, let's see, 2001, 2011, let's see, 11, 2021 was 20, and then 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, that, 20 something years later, it's, it takes them a long time. Sometimes it takes them a long time to get an idea off the ground and built and everything. The same thing with, I know we don't want to talk about it, but it's the same thing with Splash Mountain. They wanted to redo Splash Mountain for not a long time, but as soon as The Princess and the Frog came out, they wanted to build a Princess and the Frog ride. Now, was that always Splash Mountain? The retheming of Splash Mountain, I don't know. Maybe it was. And then the whole kind of political climate shifted, and Disney basically said, we're going to take out Splash Mountain and we're going to replace that with Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I don't know. That probably was the case, but I don't know. I don't work at Disney, so unless they come out and say these things, it's your guess is as good as mine. So more preparations for Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin at Walt Disney World, at the Magic Kingdom. I went to the Magic Kingdom just a few days ago to check on the progress. I did go on the People Mover and look down on that site. They're progress. I don't know if rapidly is the right word for it. Maybe they are. I don't know, but we're rapidly approaching spring. We're rapidly approaching that spring. Is it spring or summer opening date? I think it's spring. That reopening date. So, they're, they want this, obviously they wanted to get this attraction done before the busy summer, spring and summer traffic hit. I don't know. Again, I don't know if we're really going to have a busy summer here or not. With all the changes going on, I don't really know. But last summer, the last summer really wasn't busy either. Because it's people are starting to figure out that Florida in the summertime is not great. Okay, it's extremely hot, it's extremely humid, and it's obviously right in the middle of hurricane season, so it rains every single afternoon. So people are starting to figure that out, that Walt, going to Florida in the summertime is not a great idea. It's not. So, now once these areas once these new areas open at the parks, in the coming years, summer, I think summer will, it'll start getting more busy again in the summers, but right now I don't really see Walt Disney World being busy in the summer. I just, outside of specific dates like, 4th of July and stuff like that, I don't think so. I don't think so. And my last story is not park related, but I did get to watch the new Muppet show that they did, this special on Disney Plus. That is fantastic. That is a fantastic show. I was weeping. I was weeping because they finally, when Disney wants to get the Muppets right, they get them right. And this was the correct version of the Muppets. And I know a lot of people want to say any version of the Muppets is correct. Jim Henson's classic Muppets from the Muppet Show, to me, is the correct version of the Muppets. Not the Muppets that are on their cell phones or on technology and stuff. That's not my version of the Muppets. My version of the Muppets is, doing wild and crazy stunts and blowing things up and, upstaging one another and, just the sheer chaos of trying to put on a weekly variety show. That is my version of the Muppets. So I was so happy with that special. And I know that it's the number one thing streamed on YouTube right now. So I really hope that Disney really makes more of these. And to be honest with you, Disney, if there was ever an answer, if people wanted Muppet Vision 3D back in the parks, this would be a very hard yes. A very hard yes. To put Muppet Vision 3D back in the theme park. Okay? We don't really care where you put it, but seeing how the crowd, how the crowds have reacted to this Muppet Show special, and so many people love it. That should tell you right there that, you know what, the Muppets are are still very, very popular. Muppet Vision 3D is still very popular. We should put that back in our theme parks. We should put that back in one of our theme parks. Okay? So if there was ever any doubt that people do not like the Muppets or Muppet Vision 3D, then look at your numbers. Look at your viewing numbers for the Muppet Show on Disney Plus, because that's going to tell you everything. I mean, we're talking billions and billions and billions of people have streamed that show. And I cannot tell you how many comments I have run across on Facebook or social media, and people are loving that show. They are, they're expressing their love for it, their appreciation for it, their admiration for it. And they're saying, "Oh my God, this is so great. I'm just watching it on repeat." So Disney, if you're paying attention, which I know you are, if you're paying attention to your social media pages, if you have any questions whether the Muppet Show or Muppet Vision 3D is still popular, that is your answer. That is your answer. And it is a big yes. It is a very, very big yes. So I really hope that Disney is paying attention. And I hope that we get, Muppet Vision 3D back in our parks. Back in one of our theme parks. Because the overwhelming success of this brand new Muppet Show has been astounding. It has been astounding. I have not read one bad review on that. I have not. There's certain things that I would do differently, but overall, they nailed it. They completely captured the spirit of the classic TV show, and then kind of updating it, and kind of making it relevant for the new generation. So time will tell, but I'm telling you, Disney, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, if someone in PR is watching this, and if there was ever any, if you have any doubts whether or not people still care about the Muppets or Muppet Vision 3D, look at your numbers for this. Look at your audience. See how many people watched that show. See how many people streamed and watched that show, because that's going to tell you. That's going to tell you. Okay? So I'm hoping. This really gives me new hope that Muppet Vision 3D is going to go back in one of our theme parks. I have high hopes that it's going to return. It's going to return. I have high hopes. But let me know how you feel. But Disney management, the right Disney management is in, everything is lining up. Everything is lining up, and I think it'll happen. I really think that it could and should happen. So, but as long as Disney keeps seeing those numbers of of people streaming the Muppet Show, and I really hope that they make more of these. I really hope that they do more episodes, because that was that show. I cannot give a more positive review of that show. 10 out of 10. I cannot recommend it enough. So if you haven't watched it, please give it a watch, because it is fantastic. It really brought back the classic Muppets. And I really hope that it lights a fire under Disney to put Muppet Vision 3D back into either Hollywood Studios or any of the other Walt Disney World theme parks. I really hope that this lights a fire under them to do so. But there you are. There's your news for this Monday. If you like this video, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to my channel or any of my channels for more content. I thank you guys very much for watching this video. I will see you right back here on Wednesday for the Wednesday news show. Until then, y'all keep each other safe and healthy. And remember that tomorrow is just a dream away.